how you guys all doing today? Today's tips and tricks for tarpon fishing from a kayak. The biggest thing for me when I'm going out tarpon fishing is the hook. So I'll show you what are my preference hooks when I'm chasing tarpon with artificial. It's these weighted hooks right here. So there's all kinds of different brands. Here's one, and this one has a nice little, so you can screw in your paddle tail. This one doesn't have the screw in, but it's also a weighted hook. And here's another one with the capability of screwing in the paddle tail. So the reason behind this, so these are some of the other conventional jig heads that you use, and the biggest difference for me is, so this is a trout eyes. A lot of people use these. Look at the difference in the gap between that trout eyes and the weighted hooks that I use. That's a significant difference, and I think sometimes that is how you manage to land tarpon versus hook tarpon. I can't tell you how many tarpon I've lost with these smaller jig heads. For example, another one is one of these. Here's another ones. All good jig heads. I use those for snook and reds. I have no issues, but tarpon, you want that extra grab. So see, the mistake a lot of people getting is too close. So a good range, and it also depends on what they're doing. If you know they're in the area versus if they're rolling. If they're rolling heavily in an area, I like to stay within a 10 yard distance to them, where I can cast anywhere within 10 yards and there's tarpon. Now if I don't see them rolling and I just know that they're generally in that area, I try to stay even further out, 15 to 20 yards away from where I think they're going to be at, where I'm actually going to cast at. Okay, so now specifically for fishing from a kayak, techniques. All right, one of the big ones, if you're anchored and you hook into a tarpon, if you can unanchor, that way you have zero obstruction under the kayak for him to get tangled with. As anybody knows, that tarpon fight and do whatever they want, so you can't control them as much as you can maybe a snook or a red, from keeping them from getting into an anchor line or something like that. So taking off the anchor and fighting the fish without it, if possible, is one good technique. The other good technique is, obviously, and everyone's heard of the tarpon, you point your weapon at the tarpon when he jumps. A lot of people just get mesmerized and don't do anything when they jump, and or the other thing they do a lot is if they actually pull back on the rod. I've seen it multiple times. When the fish jumps, they want to pull back on the rod to tighten the line, which is what you don't want to do. Anytime any kind of fish, snook or tarpon, get up out of the water, you want to point your rod at them, and as soon as they get back, you get back in it and get that line tight again. That's it. Thanks for watching. This is Eloy from Jupiter Kayak Fishing down in Cape Coral, Southwest Florida.